So I was dealing with this.
You were an international intelligence.
Intelligence.
International intelligence, yeah.
I don't know where that noise is coming from. Okay. National intelligence. Okay. 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 So let's continue here. Okay. Resume. Okay. Okay. Now next, let's talk about advantages of secondary data. They are easily accessible, relatively inexpensive. That is, if you compare with primary data, they are less expensive, quickly obtained, mostly at a click of a button, although sometimes if they are available online, although sometimes you may need to go through physical records. They can help us to diagnose the research problem, develop an appropriate approach to the problem, develop a sampling plan, formulate an appropriate research design, answer certain research questions and test some hypotheses, interpret primary data with more insight. They can also be used to validate qualitative research findings, okay? Now, some disadvantages are always there also, but maybe I should not just discuss this. I'll post the slides so you'll read this because I'm rushing towards something. Then there are criteria for evaluating secondary data. Don't just collect and use, okay? You have to check your specifications and research design to see if the data fits what you want to do. Check for errors, accuracy, the currency when the data were collected, okay? The objective, the purpose for which the data were collected, and then compare to what you want to use it for, that is for research purposes. Now, in most cases, for example, we have accounting information which are collected for reporting purposes by companies, but we normally use those for research purposes, especially the ratios, etc. And even now, I'm currently working on, actually, there's a research that I'm doing with a colleague from the University of Dar es Salaam. We are using secondary data. We are collecting corporate governance information from public universities. And so we are studying body members' characteristics because they are listed there. And we are trying to see how that can relate to governance and etc. So those kind of stuff, it's easy to publish using secondary data. Of course, even most of my articles that are published actually are published using secondary data, okay? And the nature and the content of the data, okay? Is the data sufficient? Is it big enough to warrant analysis? Dependability, how dependable are the data, etc. Now, you also need to realize that you need to classify your secondary data. Okay, this is just an analogy to hoping you remember you are from 2 biology, the animal kingdom. Anyway, just a teaser. But secondary data, you could have internal and external, okay? Internal, these are ready to use. They require further processing. But external, these are published materials. computerized databases, syndicated services. Now, when we say internal and external, we mean internal to the organization and external to the organization. That's the idea there. Now, internal, they are available and they're ready to use. This will be, for example, company records, etc., etc. But sometimes they may require further processing or transformation, etc. Then here you have published materials like financial reports, etc., etc. Or economic reports, census, etc. But here internal, you have things like proceedings from the parliament or meetings, proceedings, all those are data, see? They can be used for qualitative studies or for quantitative studies. Meeting proceedings, if you could get those. So, and then, let's talk about published external secondary sources. You have government sources, then you have general business sources, okay? So here, we talk about, just want to get there. Talk about census data, for example. And this year we're going to do census. Now, for all those years we've been doing census, etc. And you know, the census are recording a lot of information, not only how many are you, they're recording your names, they're recording your age, they're recording your demographics, they're recording your tribes, they're recording, see, so your gender. So if you really don't want to publish, just don't publish. Lakini, you just need to obtain permissions, because when you're doing research, you just need to request clearance and request the data from census organization. Anyway, you have birth datas and death datas in Rita or somewhere with all informations. Those are secondary data and they are being created on a daily basis and they are accessible for people who want to do research. And then of course you have other data, I mean government data which are collected on a daily basis. You go to stock markets, for example, there are financial data collected daily, the daily prices. I mean, any organizations, they have data. You just need to know how to access those data. There are formal ways, of course, and there are other informal ways which you can use to get it. Now, general business sources, guides, directories, indexes, like in stock markets, and then statistical data like financial reports, etc. Okay, then I'll not discuss these. Maybe let me just go through quickly. Directories are helpful for identifying individuals, organizations that collect specific data. Those are directories. Like an example would be the Central and Eastern European Business Directorate. There are many. You can Google and find these, okay? Then indexes. You can use indexes, of course, to locate particular specific topics. So for example, newspaper indexes include things like Financial Times Index, which can be accessed here, www.news.ft.com. But also, if you go to Yahoo Finance, for example, which is available, you get a lot of data there, etc. Now, I want to go to, okay, we have non-governmental statistical data. They are also there. There are many, both internationally and locally. And then governments and the European Union, for example, and the other non-governmental organizations, they're also providing data like the UN, IMF, etc. They have all data. So these are census data, etc. It's just an expansion of what we've been discussing. Published secondary sources, you have periodicals, periodical literatures are called periodical publications. These appears in new edition or regular schedule. Okay. Now, a periodical, it's a publication that appear regularly. Okay. It could be a newspaper, it could be a magazine, it could be. Now, the fact that it's appearing regularly, then there's some regular information that might be appearing. It could be a column or something. Then that could be appearing weekly, monthly, quarterly on the same issue, which becomes, for you, intuitively a source of data. They are so-called yearbook. For example, normally companies, even religious organizations, they are maintaining yearbooks. So if you want to track down the Seventh-day Adventist Church all through, they have the yearbook in which you have yearly information in terms of statistics of the organization, etc., etc., etc. And they are available online, you see? So it all depends with what you're studying. And then statistical data, journals, Congress proceedings, of course, Parliament proceedings. These ones, they can be published nationally or internationally, okay? This is an example of, so you can get those. Proceedings, these are collection of academic papers published in the context of an academic conference. For example, we attended a conference in Dar es Salaam, in University of Dar es Salaam, was it 2 years back? And then you have people all over the place coming, people coming from Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, they're coming to conferences. Their countries are paying for them. And then people are presenting papers on related themes. And then at the end of the conference, they prepare a document with all the papers, which is called conference proceedings. So you can Google conference proceedings on a certain topic. You get a lot of information there, which can help you for your meta-analysis, for example, or some other type of research. Okay. Then let me just go through. This is just an example, Academy of Management proceedings. Then let me just go through, because some of these we've already discussed. Peer-reviewed and non-peer-reviewed, index, etc., etc. We discussed these already. Maybe let's go to, okay, so you have all, for example, list of international relations journal. You can decide to simply search lists of international relation journals, and you have them here. Why would you like to do that? Because you want to see only journals that are looking at international relations, so that you're consistent with what you're trying to look at. See, that's a list. And all these can be found mostly from Wikipedia or any other lists. You just say lists of financial economics journals or lists of psychology journals, etc. They'll come. All right. Then I want to just rush through here. Then let's go to, okay, we have computerized databases, we have online, internet, offline, etc. So mostly the internet databases are useful, which can be accessed, searched, and analyzed on the internet. Now here you have several, which I'll show you later. I mean, on the internet base, internet database, but also you have offline databases that are on diskette, or on CD-ROM, for example, of organizations. So you can request these to be sent to you if you know where they are. Then you have bibliographic databases, which are composed of citation of articles in journals. Maybe you want to do some bibliometric analysis, as we discussed previously. So that could be a source of data. Like you go, for example, from this one, thesis.com. Even if you go to the Open University of Tanzania website, you go to the library section online, you'll see all the list of students' dissertations and theses, both PhD and PhD and masters. They are there. So, and there are many. So, which means if you want to do some related research, you can do through those. Those are data. Okay? You can do some analysis. And then I wanted to rush to something here. Maybe let's go somewhere here. Okay, let me do this way. Okay, right here. Yeah, I needed this. This one, okay. Now this one, you have like we discussed, there are online repositories, online databases, and online archives. Okay. Now, these are examples of sites in which you can get these data. For example, OECD, Economic Department to get working papers here, PennWorld, REPEC, research paper in economics. All these are repository from which you can get data, articles, etc. These are some data catalog for World Bank, especially this one has a lot of data and it's free. The World Bank data, you have data of nations. Maybe you want to study the impact of population on GDP, or maybe the impact of something on GDP, etc. A lot of data, and they are some of which are panel data, some of which are time series data, very useful. Data.un, IMF also have some specific data on finance. You can also go to African Financial Group.com. These one have company data of all major companies across Africa. Okay. Whether it be any company, TBL, Twiga Cement, etc., they're listed there. But it's a South African-based group. You can access it online. So you have companies from Kenya, company from South Africa, Botswana, etc. And they would normally charge you a small fee, very small fee. You can call them, you can discuss, and save a lot of time if you are to really want to go to field and collect primary data. This can save you a lot of time with a small cost. Okay. Then you have some national sources like the NBS.go.tz index, blah, blah, the National Bureau of Statistics of Tanzania, TIRA, Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority, BOT, Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, TRA. See, there are many, I'm just mentioning a few. Actually, all the regulatory authorities have data. Even the SSS, Social Security, what is it called? Social Security, whatever authority, which is handling PPF, EPF, whatever, they have data. So maybe you want to do some efficiency study on the performance of these companies. So all regulatory authorities have data in store, which you can use for your analysis. These are some more. Okay, those are some websites. Okay, maybe before I move to some practice session, unless if you have some questions, we need to maybe spend like 15 minutes to demonstrate. I want to demonstrate a little bit because there were some requests on how to use SPSS and process to do some mediation and the moderation and moderated mediation, etc. Those kind of stuff, okay? And how to interpret the result. It's easier, actually. It's not difficult. So if there's no question, please allow me to continue, unless if there's any burning question. Do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ask your question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I was listening very careful on the use of secondary data.
Yes.
And when we were discussing about the primary data, we saw that we should do the instrument reliability and the validity.
Yes.
I want you to clear on the secondary data. This means there would be no need of instrument validity and the reliability because we want to go to the field, or can you have any explanation to me so that I can be clear on that?
Okay, well, because with secondary data, you are not using any particular instrument in collecting it. Because, like, for example, if you are picking financial statements from companies, like, for example, I don't know your angle, like maybe you're dealing with financial statements, which is a secondary data. Now, you are not using any instrument to collect that. But what you're using is, I mean, you are simply collecting those type of data, but then you'll have to calculate to establish your reliability. See, there are methods of establishing reliability of data, because you have reliability of the instrument and reliability of data. Now, of course, for primary data, the ultimate reliability or the final reliability of the data will depend on the reliability of the instrument. So you'll have to start with the instrument first so that the instrument is reliable, and then collect data, and then test the data for reliability again, and then proceed to analysis. You see, that's for primary data. But if for secondary data, you already have the data, because it's easier to get it. But now what you're doing, you want to see if it will fit your case. So you'll have to check, you have to check some, to do some preliminary check, like say, for example, those lists of things that I've been mentioning, the compatibility with the methods, are there errors, etc. That in itself, although it's a physical process, it's part of checking reliability of the data. But also establishing the, by stating, for example, let's say, for example, you are using financial statement data, and then you say you are using published or audited financial statement. That in itself is establishing reliability, because audited statements are more reliable than statements which are not audited, you see? So already, the FESI validity and reliability of that secondary data can be established roughly there, but you'll have to proceed again and do some analysis actually to see if those data comply with the kind of validity you want to attain. So, for example, or reliability. So, for example, you have to run Cronbach alpha on those data. If you have multiple indicator, for example, you may do some factor analysis, you may do some PCA, you may do some, what's the other one? Correlation itself, correlation analysis is also able to tell you if the data is reliable or not, especially if you want to, if you have multiple indicators for the same data. If they are highly correlated, it's simply saying they are more reliable. But a formal way of assessing reliability is the use of Cronbach alpha, etc. So you have to do it. Okay. Then let's move to some practice session here. Now, we are going to use SPSS as a matter of fact. Let me pick my SPSS here. So I need this document here. And maybe this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Okay. Okay. Okay, now, this is, hoping you can see this. This is the SPSS window. I know, I'm assuming you know how to open SPSS. So I'll just show you probably where you need to do. So first of all, you need to, I actually forgot this thing also here. You just need to go to a website. Can you see this page?
Yes, Doctor.
Can you read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you read one sentence, the top sentence? It's possible that.
Extra. Column 1 is the extra.
Okay, so anyway, you are not seeing what I want you to
Moderated
see.
mediation example sub.sav.
Okay, you are looking at a different thing. Okay, let me back up. Let me start afresh. I think I was not able to show you what I wanted you to see. Let me back up here. There's something here. What is it? Okay, this one and this one. This paper. I don't need this one. I need this PDF, and then I need this Excel, and then I need this what? This process. I need it. Yes, and then I need this process here. Okay, let me start again. So I have this, and this, and the result window. I think this one and this one. Okay. So I think you can see this one now. It's written the process macro for SPSS. Can you see that?
Yes, Doctor. I can see it.
Yes.
Okay. So what you need to do, you need to have SPSS installed. You may find people around who can have it, who has it. So and then go to this website. It's called actually processmacro.org. Okay, and then come to downloads here. And then simply download, scroll down and then download this one. This is a download process version 4.1. You need this as an added software to be used in your analysis. Okay. So what you do now, you come to SPSS, you open your SPSS window. Hopefully you're seeing it. And then you go to extensions, this button here, okay, extension. Then you go to utilities, and then you come to install custom dialog here. And then you search and find that process extension, which is, in my case, you just find it in your folder, and then you click it, and then you open it, and then you install it. Now, after installing this, if you go to analyze here, you go to regression. Can you see the drop-down menus? I hope you can see them. Then you go to partial least square. and then you open here, it's already here. Process version 4.1 by Andrew F. Hayes. That's the person who created this, okay? Now, I'll come back to this. Now, this is my data for this demonstration. I have a lot. There's about, these are data which are available online, by the way. You can just use them for demonstrations. I have about 1,129 individual cases. And these are my variables. Because if you go to variable view, you can read them here and see their label, but I'm not interested with that. I'm just going to do my analysis. So this is set, this is ready. But before we go, I want to show you the, can you see this PDF? Hello?
Yes, Doctor. Yes,
Okay.
Doctor. Yes,
You have, now the person who created this extension process, by the way, it is used by most people. Even one of my PhD students used this software, this added software, and he completed his PhD last, I think was last year in Zanzibar. It was developed by, this is developed by Andrew Hayes. And now in this document, which can be easily found online, he lists about 70, I think it's 76 models, okay? Which are models that you're expected to find in moderation and remediation. So you should know, when you are using the process software, you should know which model you are using, because when you go to the software, you'll be choosing the kind of model. So this is the first model, the conceptual model, and this is the statistical model, which you have already discussed these things, how to transform a conceptual model. And this one will normally appear after your research, your literature review. And this will appear in your methodology. That's the statistical model or measurement model, where you have the X, which is the independent variable, M, which is your, in this case, moderator, and XM, which is the product term of the moderator N, and then the Y, okay? So, and then you have the mathematical notation here, which is the conditional effect of X on Y is equal to B1 plus B3, hoping you can see this. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. B1 plus B3M. Okay. That's, these are your hypotheses. Okay. Okay. So this is just the first model, but you have several more models which you have to be aware of. You have model 2, which could come in this way. So this is the independent. This is a model with the 2 moderators. Okay. Moderator M, moderator W, and this is your dependent, etc. And this is how you would put it in a measurement way, the first product and the second product, and this one, okay? And this is the mathematical way. The conditional effect of X on Y is equal to this. Then model 3, which is actually a moderated moderation, okay? Because this is a moderation already, but this is a moderated moderation. Okay? So this is a conceptual model 3. So you go through all these and you see the fact that, so for example here, maybe a note, because this is a bit complicated. You have this moderator moderating, moderator W moderating moderator M, which moderates X on Y. So which means you'll have this one, MW, which is this times this. And then you'll have XM. And then here at the end, of course, you'll have XMW, which is a triple product. And you'll be testing how many hypotheses? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of this model. This simple model here. Anyway, so I'll share this document, but these models are many. Let me just go through. These are for mediation here, model 5. This is actually the so-called moderated mediation. Okay. And then you have these ones are also moderated mediation with the double mediators, etc. So you need to be aware of this. The more we go, the more they become complex, and these are the interpretations. So depending on your, this is again another moderated mediation. Depending on what you're studying, okay? Depending on what you study, this is what you will have actually, and therefore they are many. They go up down to 70 something. So let me just skip to 70. Let me go back. Let me go down to the last page. So this is the 74th type of model. Okay. You have a mediator and a moderation, an inside moderation. That will be your model, etc. So you have such model, they are 74 at least. Now, the way how do you implement this in SPSS? So let's start with the simple one, the first one, which is a moderation. And this is how this will normally appear in your statistical diagram. So what you do, you go to your SPSS here, and you go to, can you see my SPSS? I hope you can see it. Can you see?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, you go to analyze, and then you go down to regression. We are trying to find the process extension. Then you go to process, and you open process, okay? Now, here, okay, these data, I've just entered them, but let me just maybe send them back this way. So what you do, you first choose the number of the model. As you can see here, you have many models, okay? They go up to 92 here, yeah? The model according to that document I was trying to show. Now, because we want to model 1, we go to 1 here and put 1, okay? And then the rest here, as we discussed, yesterday we talked about bootstrapping of the samples. You can choose by how much, but by default is 5,000. You can even go to 10,000, etc. If you want to save bootstrap estimates, you can do that, okay? And then on these windows here, it's where you put your variable. You have the Y variable, the X variable, then the mediators. You could have several here, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. Then you could have some covariates, which are control variables. You could also have a moderator variable W, okay? Or a moderator variable Z, okay? So these are combinations. So let's say this is our dependent variable. I'm just assuming. I don't know what these numbers are, but I'm just saying, okay, let's say this is your dependent variable. Or maybe let me use, okay, this one. And then maybe this is your X variable. And maybe this is your moderator, because based on our sheet here, we need at least 3 variables, 1, 2, 3, yes, 3, X, moderator, and Y, okay. Then, where are we? Here. So we have 3 variables. Then what you do, you can come here to options and choose what you want to appear. Maybe show covariance matrix, generate a code for visualizing interactions. That, yes, we need that. Show total effect model. This is only for model 4, 6. They have mentioned here. These are for those which are listed in that document. So we don't tick this. Pairwise contrast of indirect effects. Yes, we need that. Standardized effects. This is for mediation models only. But now here we are doing moderation. So we don't need this one. Test for X by M interactions. Yes. Residual correlation. Yes, we need all this.
Sorry, sir. Before this window, you can see it is showing it is mediation. Before this window you are seeing now, it is showing that the third variable is a mediation. If you cancel this window, look at your input, you will see the title mediator.
I don't understand your question.
Okay, can you cancel this window we are seeing now?
Which one? The process option?
Yes, cancel that one. Cancel.
This one?
Yes, cancel.
Okay, let me continue. Yes.
You see the boom, the boom, the mediators.
Band, yes. Yes.
Is this mediator or the moderator?
Ah, okay. This is mediators. Okay, let's go back. I wanted it here actually. Okay. Okay. No, but not. Look at this. Actually, you see, M stands for both mediator and the moderator. Okay, mediator and the moderator. But when it becomes complex, then you could have W as a moderator also. That nomenclature is there. You see W. But also M can stand for mediation, as you can see here, etc., etc. These are mediators. So, I mean, these are mediators, yes. So yes, in this window here, this here works for mediators. Yeah, it's for mediators. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's do this. So we have it here, moderator variables, W. If we have two moderators, you could put it here. Let's just start with a simple model. So what you do, you run this. And then this is your output, hoping you can see this window. Do you see the window? The output window?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a summary here. It's showing you the variables, extra var, new, van, y, x, w. The sample size is 1001, etc. Blah. Then you have the outcome variables is mentioned as extra var, which is y. And then the model summary. The model is statistically significant. You can see the P here. And then you have the degree of freedom here, the F statistics, the mean standard errors, the R square, and then the correlation. Okay. Then these are the coefficients, okay? The constant, the coefficient, standard error, tests, the p-value. These are the lower confidence interval, and these are the upper confidence interval, okay? Now, remember the theory that we were discussing yesterday? Now, this is your, remember, new is your independent variable X, ban is your moderator, okay? And as you can see here, the independent X is statistically significant, but the ban is not statistically significant, okay? But the interaction term, which is 0.1969, that is interaction 1, which is the product term. I hope you are following, is actually 0.1969. the amount by which it is affecting the relationship between X and the Y. But this interaction term is statistically significant, but also remember the confidence interval. They are both positive. Are you following? They are both what? Positive, which means they are not straddling a zero in between. Are you following? So there are two criteria to detect the presence of that effect. So this tells us, because this is statistically significant, then there is moderation, okay? And because this is not straddling as, it's not containing a zero in between, then there is moderation, okay. Then you have your covariance matrix of regression parameters. They are here. Some of the output might not be useful for you, but I just picked those which are useful, probably this one and this one. And then, of course, the covariance matrix is trying to establish some independence between the variables. And then you have the R square change, the R square change, okay? Please keep quiet, please. We are winding up this. The R square change, that is after implementing the X times W, that is after putting our moderator is 0.0659, the R square change, and it is statistically significant, okay? So based on this hypothetical or rather practical session, we are able to establish moderation. Then here you have conditional effects of the focal predictor at value of the moderator. This is also important. You want to see the conditional changes of the moderator as you are changing, as you are putting the moderator into place, okay? So technically this is, these are the p-values. They're statistically significant, some of them, and these are confidence intervals. Okay? Then of course, these are conditional effects of focal predictor at values, and if you were to take them that way. And then this one is very important here. Now what you can do here, you can, because we need to plot some graph, okay? These are some additional notes. We want to plot some interaction graph. What you do, you copy this. Oh, what is happening? You copy, okay, edit. You can right click and say edit in viewer so that you're able to copy this. You copy this, okay, up to this dot here. Are you following? And then you right click and copy. And then you go to file, new, and then you open the syntax window. I don't know if it will open here. Do you see it? It is opened. Can you see it? Can you see the
No, you can't see.
You can't see it. Okay. Let me stop sharing here. Where is this pop-up thing? Okay, so we have to include this also in our selection of items that we want to show. Let me see here. So we have this. Pop-up thing. And then the pop-up window here. Okay. Okay. Now you can see it. Do you see it? This window, which is empty. Can you see it?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay.
Yes, Doctor.
So you paste here what you have copied this way. Okay. I'm trying to minimize it. Okay. You paste it. Now, this is a command window of SPSS. There are programs that you have to run by command. So you come to this green button here, and run. Now, after running, you go to your to this window and wait for your graph to come up. Okay, it will take some time, but this is the graph. I hope you can see the red mark here. The graph is supposed to come here. Is it an error? Something. Check spelling and something went wrong here, I think. Let me check. Let me check again. Something must have been. Let me copy again. You copy from here to here. Yes, to this, to that dot there, I think. And then you come here, you paste here, and then you run. Oh, text ban, etc., etc. It's not coming up. Anyway. What? Okay, let's try something else, yeah? Let's go regression. Let's go regression. Where are you? Regression, this one there. And then regression. And then process. And then let's try maybe this. I just want to show you how to do that. And then, okay.
Again.
This is our output, okay? And then you come to, it's still loading, end of matrix. Oh, we did not do something else here. No, this is not what we wanted. We forgot something. Let's go back here to this window. Is it this window? Not this window. Analyze, regression, right here. And then options. Did we forget? Okay, option here. We want this, we want this, we want this, we want this also, we want this and this. And then you may also do some options here. Okay, but let me just end with that one. And then you run. So this will give you some output. Okay, these are the outputs. It normally delays because of the bootstrapping. Now, this is what I wanted actually. We have to edit in a viewer so that we can copy. You pick this, actually you have to pick it up to the dot. And then let's try it. Let's give it a try again. And then you go to the, where is my viewer? This one. Let me just delete what I put here. And then paste here. And then run this. Yeah, now we have a graph. Okay. So that's the graph. Now, the SPSS graph for this are not very intuitive. At least, I don't know, if you can use this, fine. But what you can do, you can copy the same data, but this time I'm just copying from here to here, okay? And then copy, then go to Excel. You see this Excel sheet? Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Then you simply paste here. Okay. You can do something, maybe remove this and this. And then you simply go to your software and import that file. You go to import data, you can import from Excel, CSV, etc., from Starter, anything. This is SPSS version 26. It's more advanced. I don't know the other SPSS, like most of them can do that. And then you import. Now I did import my data already, so I'll not do that again. I want to show you how to do that. I hope you can see this small window here. Can you see this? Hello? Can you see these 3 variables?
Yes, Dr.
Yes, yes.
So you come up here and come to graphs, and then to legacy dialog, and then you drop down to line, and then you choose multiple, and then you pick summary for groups of classes, the first one, then you define, and then here what we want, you pick others. We want to draw some interaction graphs, and then so we have our variables here. Extra, I've already entered the variables here. And then, so you have variable and then categorical access, then you have the define line by this variable. And then you simply click OK. You'll have this graph. Now, this is the kind of graph we want for moderation interpretation. Are you following? So you can copy this and put in your Word document and do some interpretation. So that will show us the interaction effects between the variable. Now, quickly for mediation, you do the same, you come to regression. Let's say maybe you want to do which type of mediation here. Let's pick some simple one. Let's say the basic one, this one. This is 14, that's too much. Let's go back somewhere back here. Okay. This is moderation, mediation, model 4, okay? This one. Can you see this? Okay. Now,
Yes.
see the PDF. You can't see it. You?
Yeah, we see it. We see
Okay.
it.
So mediation, this one. I just want to show you the output and how to interpret that, okay? So what you do, you go to your SPSS again. I'm using the same data. And then you come to analyze, you go to regression, you go down to process, okay? Now this time, this time I'm using the same data, okay? I'm just using the same data. So I have, let's say this is my Y variable, maybe, and then maybe this one is my X variable, and then this one is my mediator variable. And here I'm choosing model 4, okay? Because this is mediation. Model 4, according to the guidance in this, okay? And then you come back in your window here, you go to options. You do options and tick those which are relevant, okay? Yes, we need this, probably we need this also. This also we need, you see, only model 4, 6, etc. We need this also. There was contrast of indirect effect, yes. We also need this. We don't need interactions. We don't. Do we need residual correlations? We can need that. We can generate those. Maybe we don't need this. Okay. And then you hit continue. Then okay. Now, if you go to your result window, which should be this one, it will take time to run. Okay, but this is the starting point here. It is telling you what? The sample here, the variables that are involved, and you're using model 4. And then, of course, you also have the reference here. You have to also refer that. You have the outcome variable is bound, that's Y. Then the model summary here. it is statistically significant. Then you have your model here, the main model, which is the connection between X and the Y. I hope you understand what I mean. X and Y, because in mediation, we have to go by steps. For this simple mediation arrangement, we need to run 2 regressions, okay? So this is the first one, all right? And then these are the standardized coefficients. That's the covariance matrix. Then you have the outcome variable here. This is the second model now, okay? Where you have the assessment of the model fitness itself. You have the R square, etc., and all these. The tests is marginally significant, of course. 0.0535 is running out of the range. Then you have the variable here. Now, as you can see, here we are not talking of interactions now. We are talking of mediation. So you have the constant, and these are the confidence intervals. These are the p-values. The variables are not statistically significant. Then you have the third model here. Now this is for, you have to read the subheading as well, okay? This is for the outcome variable. This is for the outcome variable when you also include the X and the mediator, okay? And then you go to, these are the total effect model, okay? It is significant, okay? The model itself, but you have the mediation here. I mean, the main model. Then here you have the total direct and indirect effects of X on Y. This is probably the most important for you. Is it skipping? Where are you? Where is that? Yeah, this one here. This one here, okay? Now this will give you the total effect of X on Y. This is the effect, standard error, t-value, p. These are the confidence interval, okay? And then this is the direct effect of X on Y. Again, you have, let's put it in edit mode so that you can click in it, all right? So this is direct effect of X on Y. This is given here. And you can see this is C complement. This is C, okay? C, this is C complement. So the nomenclature is the same as in the literature. C complement, XC, Y, etc., those kind of stuff, okay? Because it's standard. But what you need to note is that the C complement here is not statistically, is actually statistically, it's not statistically significant at 5. Okay, it's marginally significant. While actually the total effect is statistically significant. Okay, and then this is the indirect effect, which is that's the indirect effects of X on Y. That's through a mediator band. This is the effect, the bootstrap standard error, okay? And these are the bootstrap confidence interval, the lower and the upper. As you can see, the confidence intervals are between a 0. You have a positive and a negative. That's why probably it's not even statistically significant. Then these are completely standardized indirect effects of X on Y. So you have them there, okay? Okay, so that's the information and that's the interpretation. And therefore, you should be able to discuss and do some things. I don't know if there's any question. You can always do some more other issues. Let's say you want to assess if it's complementary or competitive mediation. I hope you remember those. Okay, you have to apply those small formula which I gave. So let me end here for today because of time, and wish to thank you so much for your participation. And tomorrow I'll be using my time to try to assemble these recordings and the slides and all these other stuff and make them available to you as we promised. And if there'll be any need for assistance, we will be available for any assistance. Otherwise, thank you for your participation and your coming.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
Oh, other question. Just remind me on how the marginal significant effect on both effective.
On what?
On how the marginal significant effect on both effective, either direct or indirect.
The marginal effects. The marginal effects, they are simply measuring the added effects based on changes. Okay. From step one to the next step. So we can assess for its significance if that change was statistically significant. Okay, and be able to argue and establish some confidence on the results statistically.
Okay.
But of course, the amount will tend to tell us the sensitivity of the change. The bigger, the more responsive it is. The smaller it is, then the less responsive that is. So thank you for your participation. Alice, do you have another question, Smith?
Which version of SPSS were you using to demonstrate this? Because I think you have the lower version.
This one, this is, let me check. This is, I don't think it's lower. This is, well, maybe it's lower. This is 26. Which one do you have?
I think lower than that.
This is 26. But this thing can work in any SPSS. Okay. So it is compatible with all version of SPSS.
Yeah, I was trying to check the Hesses, some Hesses in my version that I have. I think there is nowhere that I can insert it.
If you go to extensions, you don't see the button for extensions. This
yes, I don't see the button for extension.
Even in lower versions, there's a way, I think, can you read the buttons appearing on top of there so that I can know which one is quicker? Can you read file, edit, etc.? File,
edit, view, data, transform, analyze, direct marketing, graphs, utilities, add-ons, window and help.
Right there, add-on. Click on add-on. That's where, because that's an add-on. Here, in a different language, they're saying extension. So it's an add-on. That's where you can add some macro, okay, the other added software. Can you go to add-on? And then
yes, I go. I see application services programmability extension.
Yes. You might need to Google also and see how you can install your version. But for most current versions, this is the process. Like that's the place where you're supposed to start adding that thing. It's on. I'm not sure on compatibility issue. Like kwa sababu even these even this process macro has different versions. You have lower versions, but this is the most current version, which I'm using 4.1. But all macros can be found online, and they are compatible with SPCC. By the way, you use this macro in SPCC, but also in SAS and in ARA to do the same. ARA is another powerful software which you can add this macro. Okay, so thank you guys. That's the end of our presentation for today. And then looking forward for tomorrow, we shall do the other remaining promises. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.